There will be moments in life when everything around you feels like it's falling apart, when people are shouting, situations are spiraling, and your mind is racing to find control. In those moments, your strength won't come from how loud you can be, how fast you can move, or how forcefully you can react. Your true power will come from your calm, that still, steady place inside you that doesn't flinch, doesn't panic, and doesn't break. Because calm isn't the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of it. When the world pushes you to react, your calm mind becomes your greatest defense, your shield, your clarity, your ultimate weapon. Calm is not weakness, it's mastery. Most people misunderstand calmness. They see it as being passive, detached, or indifferent. But calm is not the absence of strength, it's the control of it. It's the ability to remain centered when everything else is trying to pull you off balance. Anyone can look strong when things are easy, but real strength shows itself when the situation tests your patience, your limits, and your composure. Calm is not about doing nothing. It's about doing the right thing at the right time with a clear mind. When chaos hits, most people react. They let fear, anger, or frustration take over. They lash out, they rush decisions, they lose focus, and in doing so, they lose control. But calm people respond. They pause, they breathe, they observe before they act. That pause, that moment of stillness, is where power lives. It's in that moment you shift from being ruled by the situation to ruling yourself. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. Not how much they can do in chaos, but how much control they can maintain in it. You see, calm doesn't mean you don't feel fear or pressure. It means you've learned to face those emotions without letting them run the show. You can feel the heat of the moment, but still keep your focus sharp and your decisions precise. That's mastery, because anyone can throw a punch, but it takes discipline to hold one back when it's wiser to stay still. Calmness gives you that edge, the ability to choose, not just react. It gives you the power to lead yourself and others through uncertainty. When you're calm, you think more clearly. You start to see opportunities that panic hides. You notice the details others miss. You make choices based on strategy, not survival. That's why calm people often win. Not because they move faster, but because they move smarter. They conserve energy while others waste theirs in emotion. They stay steady while others burn out. And over time, the one who stays calm outlasts everyone who doesn't. Mastering calm takes practice. It's not something that just happens. It's something you train. You train it when someone provokes you, and you choose not to react. You train it when pressure builds, but you take a breath instead of rushing forward. You train it when you slow your thoughts and remind yourself, I am still in control. Every time you do that, you strengthen your mental muscle. You build a calm mind that can handle storms without losing direction. So the next time life challenges you, when the noise gets loud, when tension rises, when the world tests your limits, remember this: your calm is not weakness, it's mastery. It's your proof that you are stronger than the storm around you. And when you hold that calm, you don't just survive chaos, you lead through it. The strongest voice is the quiet one inside. The world today teaches us to speak louder, to prove our point, to dominate every conversation. But real strength doesn't come from volume. It comes from presence. It comes from a calm certainty that doesn't need to shout to be heard. When you know who you are and what you stand for, you don't need to convince anyone. You speak less, but your words carry weight. The quiet voice within you becomes your guide, the one that speaks truth when the noise outside gets too loud. That inner voice doesn't scream, it whispers. It asks you to pause before reacting, to think before speaking, to observe before judging. But most people never hear it because they're too busy listening to everything else, to opinions, to doubts, to fear. We scroll, we compare, we argue, we defend. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, we lose our connection to that quiet strength inside. The challenge is not in finding that voice, it's in creating enough stillness to hear it. The quiet voice inside is your intuition, your truth, your compass. It doesn't need validation, and it doesn't care about applause. It tells you what's right even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one else agrees. That's why it's hard to follow, because it often leads you away from the crowd and toward your own path. But that's where real growth happens. The more you listen to it, the stronger it becomes. The less you listen, the more distant it gets, until one day you can't tell if the decisions you're making are truly yours or just echoes of what the world told you to be. There's power in silence, in pausing before reacting, in thinking before speaking. You don't need to match the chaos of others to be effective. Calmness doesn't make you invisible, it makes you intentional. People will remember the one who stayed steady when everyone else lost control. The quiet voice inside you reminds you of that steadiness. It tells you not to prove your worth, but to show it through how you carry yourself. It reminds you that composure isn't about pretending not to care. It's about knowing that your peace matters more than winning any argument. Listening to your inner voice doesn't mean ignoring the world. It means filtering it. It means hearing what's said, feeling what's felt, and still deciding from your center. The world will always have noise, opinions, criticism, distractions. But when you trust the quiet within you, the outside chaos loses its power. That's where real confidence is born, not in how loud you speak, but in how deeply you know yourself. So don't rush to raise your voice just to be heard. Instead, strengthen the voice within until it becomes unshakable. Because when you learn to lead yourself from that quiet place, your presence will speak louder than any words ever could. That's the kind of strength the world can't ignore. Not because it shouts, but because it stands firm in silence. Pressure reveals character, not just capability. It's easy to appear composed when life is simple, when everything is going according to plan, and when the people around you are agreeable. But pressure, real, uncomfortable, relentless pressure, strips away the layers of who we pretend to be and shows us who we truly are. It exposes the difference between the person who only performs when it's convenient and the one who stands tall when everything feels like it's falling apart. Under stress, your habits surface, your mindset is tested, and your discipline becomes visible. Pressure doesn't change you, it reveals you. When life presses hard against you, the question isn't whether you can handle it. It's whether you can handle yourself within it. Most people crumble not because they lack ability, but because they lose composure. Their emotions take the wheel, their confidence wavers, and fear takes over the space where focus should be. That's why calm under pressure isn't just a nice trait. It's a survival skill. It's what separates the ones who panic from the ones who perform, the ones who give up from the ones who find a way through. Calmness allows your training, your discipline, and your wisdom to come alive when you need them most. Think about the moments in your life when everything felt like too much. The deadlines, the conflicts, the uncertainty. You may not have had control over the situation, but you always had control over your reaction. That's what true strength looks like. It's not in showing no emotion, it's in having emotion but not letting it command you. It's the quiet steadiness that says, I may not know how this ends, but I know how I'll carry myself through it. That calm is what allows your real potential to rise when pressure hits. Pressure can either break you or build you, and that depends entirely on how you choose to meet it. When you face challenges with a calm mind, you begin to see pressure differently. It's not a threat, it's a mirror. It reflects your preparation, your patience, and your persistence. It teaches you to slow down when everything is speeding up, to breathe when others hold their breath, to stay logical when emotions are screaming for reaction. That discipline doesn't come overnight. It's built in small moments, in every time you choose to stay calm instead of lashing out, to think before speaking, to observe before deciding. Every time you face pressure, you're being given a chance to define your character. Will you let the moment control you, or will you control the moment? The people who lead, who inspire, who achieve lasting success, they all share this trait. They don't lose themselves under pressure. They hold their ground, even when it shakes. That's the kind of calm that turns pressure into progress. Because in the end, it's never the storm that defines you. It's how you stand in the middle of it that tells the world who you truly are. You don't need to control everything, just yourself. The truth is, most of what happens around us is outside our control. People will say what they want, circumstances will shift, and life will unfold in ways we can't predict or prepare for. Yet, we exhaust ourselves trying to manage everything, every outcome, every person, every emotion in the room. And when things don't go as planned, we fall apart, convinced that losing control means losing power. But that's not true. Real power comes from understanding that control doesn't lie in the external world. It lies within you. The only thing you can truly master is yourself. When you shift your focus from controlling everything to controlling your response, everything changes. You stop chasing perfection and you start cultivating peace. You begin to see that the chaos outside doesn't have to create chaos inside. The world can be loud, but your mind doesn't have to be. The situation can be uncertain, but your attitude can remain steady. That's the kind of control that lasts. You may not be able to stop the waves, but you can learn to navigate them without drowning in emotion. That is self-mastery, and it's the foundation of calm strength. People waste years trying to manage things that are never truly in their hands: how others treat them, how fast they succeed, how life unfolds. But the calm mind knows that control isn't about domination, it's about direction. You don't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. You don't control how people act, but you can control how you respond. Once you realize that, frustration loses its grip on you. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding intentionally. You don't fight every battle. You choose your ground. That's not surrender. That's wisdom. The moment you take back control of your inner world, you gain freedom from the outer one. You stop allowing every disappointment, delay, or difficulty to decide your mood. You stop being at the mercy of external chaos. When you own your mind, you own your life. The calm person isn't calm because everything is perfect. They're calm because they no longer expect it to be. They understand that challenges will come, but how they show up to face them is their choice. And that's what defines the outcome. Learning to control yourself is a daily practice. It's built through self-awareness, patience, and humility. It's not about never feeling upset or frustrated. It's about recognizing those emotions without letting them dictate your actions. You take a breath, you pause, and you remind yourself that the situation is temporary, but your reaction can make it permanent. The calm mind doesn't fight every storm. It understands that some storms are meant to pass, not to be chased. So, let go of the need to control the world. Let go of trying to make everything fit your expectations. Focus on mastering the one thing that truly belongs to you, your mind. Because once you control that, no matter what happens around you, you'll never lose control of who you are. Emotion is energy. Learn to channel it, not be consumed by it. Every emotion you feel, whether it's anger, fear, frustration, or sadness, carries energy. It's not good or bad by itself. It's what you do with it that determines whether it weakens you or strengthens you. Most people let emotions control them. They react in anger, they retreat in fear, they collapse in frustration. But those same emotions, if understood and directed, can become your driving force. The goal isn't to suppress emotion, it's to master it. When you master your emotions, you stop being a victim of how you feel and start becoming a creator of what you do. Anger, for example, can destroy you or drive you. If you let it consume you, it clouds your judgment and poisons your peace. But if you learn to channel it, it becomes determination. It becomes the push that helps you stand up when life knocks you down. Fear can either paralyze you or prepare you. It's the same feeling, but handled differently, it transforms into awareness, alertness, and focus. Frustration can make you quit, or it can sharpen your persistence. Every emotion has a purpose if you're willing to listen to what it's teaching you instead of letting it take control. People often mistake emotional control for emotional suppression. They think being calm means never feeling deeply, never reacting, never caring. But calmness isn't emptiness. It's awareness. It's understanding your emotions so well that you know how to use them instead of letting them use you. You don't deny your anger, you study it. You don't run from your fear. You face it and ask what it's trying to protect. That awareness turns emotion into information, something you can use, something that guides your next move rather than blinds you. Learning to channel emotion takes patience and practice. It starts with pausing before reacting, that 1 second where you choose to think rather than explode. It continues with honesty, being able to say to yourself, yes, I'm angry, or yes, I'm scared, without shame. Because once you name what you feel, you can redirect it. You can take that heat and use it to fuel progress instead of destruction. The people who achieve greatness aren't those who feel less. They feel deeply but stay steady enough to use those feelings for purpose. A calm mind doesn't mean an emotionless one. It means your emotions work for you, not against you. You can walk into conflict with empathy instead of rage. You can face rejection with curiosity instead of bitterness. You can meet failure with determination instead of defeat. When you learn to harness your emotional energy, you become powerful, not because you no longer feel, but because you can stand firm within what you feel. Your emotions are signals, not shackles. They're there to guide you, not control you. Let them teach you where your boundaries are, what matters to you, and where your energy needs to go. When you stop fighting your emotions and start mastering them, you discover that calm isn't the absence of energy. It's the perfect direction of it. That's when your emotions stop being your weakness and start becoming your greatest source of strength. Stillness is a strategy, not a pause. Most people misunderstand stillness. They see it as stopping, as doing nothing, as losing momentum. But stillness is not about freezing. It's about focusing. It's the space between impulse and action where clarity is born. In a world that celebrates speed, stillness feels uncomfortable. We rush from one task to another, one decision to the next, believing movement equals progress. But constant motion without direction isn't power. It's noise. Stillness allows you to step back, assess, and make choices with precision instead of panic. It's not about doing less. It's about doing what actually matters. When you're calm and still, your mind begins to see things differently. You notice what others miss. You catch patterns, opportunities, and mistakes that chaos hides. It's in stillness that ideas come together and intuition sharpens. Every great leader, every disciplined mind, knows the value of a strategic pause. Because in that pause, you stop reacting to life and start directing it. You stop being driven by the moment and begin driving the moment yourself. Stillness is not the absence of progress. It's what gives progress meaning. Think about a soldier on the battlefield or a professional athlete in the final seconds of a game. The best ones don't rush. They slow down inside, even when everything around them is moving fast. They read the situation, they calculate, they wait for the right opening, and then they strike. That's what stillness does. It doesn't delay your action, it sharpens it. It makes your next move count. Most people act too soon out of fear of waiting. But waiting with awareness is not weakness, it's control. Stillness also protects your energy. When you're constantly reacting, you burn out quickly, emotionally, mentally, and physically. You spend your strength fighting every small battle, chasing every distraction, answering every noise. But when you allow yourself moments of stillness, you recharge your focus. You learn to listen, not just to others, but to yourself. You begin to realize that not everything requires a reaction, not every situation needs your input, and not every fight deserves your time. That kind of restraint is power. There's a deep kind of confidence in those who move with stillness. They don't rush to prove themselves because they know who they are. They don't speak to fill silence because their silence already has presence. They observe more, understand more, and when they finally act, their actions are deliberate and impactful. That's how stillness becomes a weapon, a quiet one, but powerful enough to change everything. The next time you feel the pressure to react, to answer immediately, to move just because you think you should, stop. Take a breath. Step into that space of stillness. Let it ground you before you move forward. The calm mind doesn't freeze in fear, it pauses with purpose. And in that pause lies your strength, your clarity, and your ability to act with intention instead of impulse. Stillness doesn't slow your journey, it makes sure you're walking in the right direction. Your reaction defines the outcome. Life will always present challenges, some expected, others arriving without warning. You can't always control what happens to you, but you always have control over how you respond to it. Two people can face the same situation and walk away with completely different results, not because one was luckier or more talented, but because one chose to react with calm, while the other gave in to chaos. Your reaction shapes the direction of your life more than the event itself ever could. When something goes wrong, our first instinct is to react. Fast, loud, emotional. It's human nature to feel anger, fear, or disappointment. But those instant reactions rarely come from logic. They come from impulse. They come from the part of us that wants relief instead of resolution. A calm mind, on the other hand, doesn't deny the emotion. It just refuses to let it decide. It allows the first wave of emotion to pass before choosing the next step. And that small space between what happens and how you respond to it, that's where your power lives. Every time you face adversity, you're given a choice. You can react in ways that make the situation worse, or you can respond in a way that gives you control. Think of the moments you regret most, the words you wish you hadn't said, the decisions you made out of anger or fear. Most of those moments weren't defined by what happened, but by how you responded. The calm mind doesn't make you emotionless. It makes you intentional. It reminds you that you don't have to attend every conflict, you don't have to engage every insult, and you don't have to lose your peace just because the situation is loud. A calm response changes outcomes because it changes energy. When you meet aggression with calm, you diffuse it. When you face fear with composure, you weaken it. When you respond to failure with patience, you turn it into growth. The calm mind sees opportunities that chaos blinds you from. It turns mistakes into lessons, resistance into motivation, and setbacks into strategy. That's not positivity. That's power. It's the discipline of refusing to let emotion write your story. You become truly strong when you learn that reaction is not mandatory. You don't owe anyone your anger, your panic, or your rush. You can choose stillness, even when provoked. You can choose clarity, even when pressured. That choice doesn't make you passive. It makes you deliberate. It means you are in control of your energy, your tone, your direction. You're not reacting to the world. You're creating your response to it. So, when life tests you, when someone pushes you, when things don't go as planned, take a moment. Pause. Let your calm speak before your frustration does. Because every reaction you give either builds your strength or takes it away. The moment you master your response, you master your life. What happens next isn't decided by the challenge, it's decided by you. Composure is confidence without noise. True confidence doesn't need an announcement. It shows itself quietly, through steadiness, through restraint, through the way you carry yourself when things don't go your way. The calm and composed person doesn't need to convince anyone of their worth because their actions do the talking. They don't rely on loud words or bold gestures to be noticed. They let their presence speak for them. When you meet someone who is composed, you can feel it before they even say a word. It's not arrogance, and it's not coldness. It's the quiet strength of someone who knows who they are and doesn't need validation to prove it. Most people confuse composure with indifference. They think staying calm means you don't care or that you're disconnected. But composure isn't about detachment, it's about direction. It's the ability to stay centered no matter what's happening around you. When others panic, you hold your ground. When others rush, you slow down. You become the steady point in the middle of the storm. And that steadiness is what earns respect, not because you're louder, but because you're consistent. People trust those who don't lose control under pressure because composure is a sign of discipline. It shows that you've done the inner work to manage your emotions before they manage you. The composed person doesn't seek attention, they attract it naturally. There's something magnetic about someone who's in control of themselves. You notice how they listen more than they speak, how they think before they respond, how their confidence feels grounded rather than loud. They don't need to dominate the room. They influence it through presence, through clarity, through quiet conviction. That's because composure gives power to your words. When you finally speak, people listen. They know your words are not reactions, they're decisions. Composure is also tested most when you feel attacked, misunderstood, or challenged. The temptation to react, to defend yourself, to prove a point, that's where most people lose their control. But holding your composure in those moments is not weakness, it's wisdom. It shows you value peace more than pride. It shows that you don't need to lower yourself to match someone's chaos. Remaining calm when provoked is one of the purest forms of strength because it means you've mastered your impulses. You've chosen dignity over drama, purpose over ego. Building composure doesn't happen overnight. It's something you train, moment by moment, in the small frustrations of daily life. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when a plan falls apart, when you feel misunderstood. Each time you choose patience instead of reaction, you strengthen your self-control. Each time you hold back a harsh word and replace it with silence, you remind yourself that your peace is worth protecting. Over time, that calm becomes part of who you are. It becomes your quiet armor. Confidence doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it's just the way you walk into a room without the need to prove anything. It's the way you face a challenge without panic, the way you handle failure without falling apart. That's real confidence, quiet, steady, composed. Because the truth is, people may forget what you said or did, but they'll always remember how you carried yourself when things got difficult. And when your calm becomes unshakable, your presence alone becomes your message. Train calmness like a muscle. Just like physical strength, mental calm doesn't come from wishing for it. It comes from training it every single day. You can't expect to stay calm under chaos if you've never practiced calm in the small moments. It's a discipline built through repetition, through awareness, through the choices you make when no one's watching. Every time life tests your patience, that's a rep. Every time you resist the urge to react, that's growth. Calmness isn't something you're born with. It's something you earn through deliberate practice. Most people wait for calm to show up when they need it most, but that's not how it works. You don't learn to swim during the storm. You train in calm waters so you can survive the waves later. Mental composure develops the same way. You build it in ordinary moments, when things are uncomfortable but not unbearable. You build it when you slow down instead of rushing, when you breathe instead of arguing, when you choose silence instead of feeding the noise. Those moments strengthen you, so when the real storms come, you don't fall apart. You stand firm because you've trained for it. Training calmness starts with awareness. You have to notice how you respond when things don't go your way. Do you snap? Do you retreat? Do you spiral into overthinking? That awareness is your first step toward control. Once you see your patterns, you can start to change them. Calmness is not about pretending not to care. It's about managing your energy so that your emotions serve you instead of sabotage you. Breathing, reflection, stillness. These aren't soft skills. They're strength training for the mind. They help you recover faster from stress and make better choices when pressure hits. Discipline is the bridge between emotion and control. You have to be willing to practice it when it's hard, when your ego wants to fight back, when your patience is wearing thin. That's where growth happens. Not in the easy moments, but in the ones that test your limits. When you start treating calm like a skill, you stop seeing it as luck or personality. You realize it's something you can build, improve, and protect. Just like an athlete trains their body, you train your focus, your patience, your reactions. Over time, you begin to notice that things which once triggered you no longer shake you as easily. You become steady, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Every act of calmness is an investment in your future self. Every time you choose to breathe before reacting, every time you let a moment pass instead of forcing it, you're teaching your mind to stay steady in uncertainty. That's how true composure is built, through repetition, not reaction. The more you train your calm, the more it becomes instinct. And one day, when chaos hits again, you won't have to remind yourself to stay grounded. You simply will. Because calm won't just be something you practice, it will be who you are. A calm mind wins the long game. Chaos burns fast and fades quickly, but calm endures. In life, it's easy to be strong for a moment, to rise for a short burst of motivation, to fight hard when the challenge feels fresh. But the real test is not how loudly you start, it's how consistently you continue. The world rewards endurance, not eruption. Those who remain calm, focused, and steady through the highs and lows end up outlasting everyone who lets emotion dictate their direction. Calm is patience in motion. It doesn't rush results or demand recognition. It just keeps moving forward with quiet certainty. The people who lose themselves in chaos are often driven by urgency, by the need to prove something quickly. They chase success like a fire that burns too hot, and eventually, that fire consumes them. But the calm mind knows better. It knows that consistency beats intensity every time. It doesn't matter how fast you move if you can't sustain the pace. The calm person understands that progress is not about speed, it's about stability. When you stay centered, you conserve your energy, your focus, and your clarity. That's how you win the long game, by being able to stay in it long after others have given up. Calm doesn't mean slow, it means steady. It's the ability to keep your emotions from clouding your strategy. You make better choices because you're not reacting to every temporary feeling or setback. You're not ruled by frustration when things take longer than you hoped. You don't panic when life doesn't go your way. You adapt, you adjust, and you continue. Calmly. That's the mindset of those who build legacies, not just moments. Because the truth is, life is not a sprint, it's an endurance test. And endurance requires composure. There will always be moments when you'll be tempted to rush, when things feel too slow, when results seem too far away, when others appear to be ahead of you. That's when calm becomes your weapon. Instead of comparing yourself, you focus on your lane. Instead of forcing outcomes, you trust the process. Calm gives you the patience to play smart instead of desperate. It allows you to see that setbacks aren't the end. They're simply part of the longer route. People who master calm don't burn out because they pace themselves with purpose. They know the journey is bigger than the moment. Winning the long game requires emotional endurance, the strength to keep your mind clear even when the path gets unclear. The calm person keeps showing up, keeps improving, keeps believing, even when progress feels invisible. They understand that storms pass, but steadiness remains. Chaos may win the moment, but calm always wins the distance. Because when emotions fade, when noise dies down, and when only persistence is left standing, it's the calm mind that's still there, focused, patient, and quietly unstoppable.